So let's talk about something that affects pretty much everyone online, proving you are who you say you are. For the longest time, digital identity verification was, a pretty straightforward process. Well, not anymore. The game has totally changed. It's not just about people trying to fool systems anymore. Now, it's AI versus AI.
I mean, let's just start with a question that's, well, it's kind of terrifying. When a new user is signing up for your service, how can you be sure they're a real person? What if that face you're seeing on the screen, the one smiling, blinking, looking all human, was actually cooked up by an AI just a few seconds ago? You see, the whole threat landscape is night and day from what it used to be. It's no longer about trying to spot a crummy, photoshopped ID card. That's old-school fraud. It was static, something you could learn to spot. The fraud we're dealing with today is algorithmic. We're talking about AI-generated, completely synthetic identities and deepfakes that can mimic a real person in real time and pass all the standard checks.
And here's the part that really changes everything. This isn't about some hacker in a basement trying one attack at a time. The threat is now structural. Fraudsters can use AI to automate this stuff on a massive scale. They can launch thousands, even tens of thousands of attacks to open fake accounts for pennies on the dollar. It's basically become an industry.
So, in this explainer, we're going to break this whole new reality down. First, we'll get a handle on this new kind of fake. Then, we'll see why our old security checklists are just failing, big time. After that, we'll dive into the new strategy, fighting fire with fire. We'll look at what an intelligent interview actually is, and then wrap it all up by seeing how this creates a much smarter and safer system for all of us.
All right, first up, a new kind of fake. To really get what we're up against, you have to understand the tools these attackers have now. We're way past pre-recorded videos. Fraudsters are using generative AI to literally invent faces of people who have never existed. And they can manipulate live video feeds to pass those liveness checks on command. It's a threat that's both completely artificial and totally dynamic. And that dynamic threat, it leads us straight to a massive problem with our defenses. So let's jump into Section 2, when checklists fail. Because knowing what the bad guys are doing is one thing, but understanding why our current security is just falling apart, that's the real key here. The systems we've trusted for years just weren't built for this kind of fight.
Think about it. What's the classic online verification process? You know the drill, right? It's a totally predictable checklist. Upload your ID, snap a selfie, maybe turn your head a little to the left. The problem is, anything that's predictable can be studied, it can be rehearsed, and eventually it can be beaten by a machine.
And this quote right here just nails it. When both the attackers and the defenders are using AI, a static defense, like a predictable checklist, is like building a fortress and then handing the enemy the blueprints. It's just not going to cut it anymore. So if that old checklist approach is officially broken, what's the fix? Well, that brings us to Section 3, fighting fire with fire. The answer isn't to run away from technology. It's to fight smart AI with even smarter AI. We need a whole new strategy, one that's just as dynamic and adaptive as the threats it's built to stop. Now, at the heart of this new strategy is something called an AI verification agent. And don't just think of this as another app or a piece of software. Think of it more like an automated fraud investigator. It's an AI that's designed to run a guided, interactive session to figure out one thing. Is there a real, live human being on the other end of this camera? This is the huge shift in thinking. This is the big idea right here. We have to move away from that passive, predictable checklist and move toward a dynamic, interactive interview. The whole goal is to create a verification process that a fraudulent AI simply can't script or automate. Which, of course, leads us right into Section 4, the intelligent interview. So what does this actually look like for a regular person trying to sign up for something? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this AI agent actually works in real time. So for you, the user, the experience feels simple, but it's always a little different. The AI agent might ask you to do a bunch of unpredictable little tasks. Hey, follow this dot on the screen with your head. Or go take a selfie standing next to a window. Maybe even hold up a pen. Now for a human, these are super easy, right? But for a deepfake system that's relying on pre-generated images or video, these simple random tasks are a total nightmare. But here's the magic. While you're busy just following a dot on the screen, the AI is working overtime behind the scenes. It's analyzing this flood of data. We're talking subtle micro-expressions on your face, the consistency of the lighting in your room, behavioral biometrics like how you're moving your phone, and even if your physical location seems to line up with your IP address. And this is where the intelligent part really kicks in. The system is adaptive. If all those little signals are looking good and consistent, awesome, the process just moves right along. But if it detects something weird, like say the lighting on your face doesn't match the background, it doesn't just fail you, it responds. It might trigger a new, completely different, unpredictable task to probe deeper and figure out what's going on.
And at the end of all this, the system doesn't spit out a simple pass or fail. It's not a thumbs up or thumbs down. Instead, it generates a human likelihood score. This is a much more sophisticated, risk-based assessment that tells a company the probability that they're dealing with a real person, which lets them make much smarter decisions.
Okay, so let's pull this all together in our last section, a smarter, safer system. We've seen the problem, we've seen this really cool solution, but what are the real-world benefits? What's the so what? Why is this AI-driven approach such a huge leap forward?
Well, it really boils down to 3 core benefits. Number 1, obviously, is way better security. This unpredictable interview process creates a truly hostile environment for those automated fraud attacks. Second, you get a huge boost in operational efficiency, because far fewer cases need to be kicked over to a real person for a manual review. And third, it helps with all that regulatory stuff by proving you're taking a truly sophisticated, proactive approach to fighting fraud.
What this all means is that identity verification stops being this annoying box you have to check for the regulators. It transforms into a real strategic asset, one that actually protects your business, makes things smoother for your legitimate customers, and frankly, builds a lot more trust in our digital world.
This quote really just captures the wild moment we're living in. AI is creating these absolutely unprecedented threats, for sure. But at the very same time, it's giving us the incredibly powerful tools we need to fight back. It's both the poison and the antidote. And that kind of leaves us with one final big question to chew on. Is this new, intelligent approach the final word on identity fraud? Have we solved it? Or is this just the next, more sophisticated move in what's shaping up to be a permanent, high-stakes chess match between AI attackers and AI defenders?